What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this guy, Julian. What's his name? Julian Newman, right? And I want to use him as an example of just how far people will go to for fame and fortune, right? And so, like this guy, Julian Newman, if you never heard of Julian before, he was billed as a basketball prodigy at a young age. You know, his father had him, Julian, and Julian's sister, playing basketball. I think they even played, at least Julian did play varsity at, like, I think he was probably like about in the fifth grade or something like that, but his father had him playing varsity basketball. And they used to make these videos and stuff like this. And a lot of those videos even went viral, right? But the problem Julian had is that Julian never grew. I think Julian is about 5'6", 5'7", something like that. And playing basketball, you got to be either really tall, or you have to have a height for it, or really be like exceptional and know how to create angles and stuff like that. And that's just not Julian, right? So listen to I want you to get an idea of Julian's life before I play get to the audio of what he said about his sister and the desperation that he exposed as far as wanting her to pose or leak one of her leak a tape about her.
So back when content first started going viral online, there was this kid named Julian Newman who was named the next big basketball prodigy.
Sometimes I forget that he's 11 years old because we play so much together, almost same skill level.
Now, as he grew up, Julian was getting millions of views online, doing press tours around the country, and creating viral moments after viral moments, pretty much becoming the most popular AAU player at that time.
That's the best high school player ever, Julian Newman.
And despite playing against varsity high school competition before reaching middle school age,
played him with middle school competition this year, and he scored 91 points.
Doubt really crept into his future quickly. And it wasn't just because he was not progressing as a ball handler or shooter, but simply the fact that the guy was not growing.
A lot of people talk about my height, saying it's a problem.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
You're 5'6".
Yeah.
A lot of people think you've got to be 6'4", 6'5".
People call me overrated. I have a ton of haters.
What would you say to those people who will look at you and say, oh, well, you know what? You're 5'6".
Obviously, basketball is a sport where height is the most important factor. And with Julian's mom and dad both being below average in height, it was pretty clear that he was never going to be taller than like 5'7" max. Which would mean not only would he have to have an insanely high basketball IQ, but also play an incredibly unselfish style to elevate his teammates.
When I get angry, I don't know, something takes over.
I remember, and I'm from Baltimore, so I remember when I was younger watching Tyrone Muggsy Bogues play basketball, right? And Tyrone Muggsy Bogues is 5'3". So Julian Newman at 5'6" is 3 inches taller than Muggsy Bogues, right? But Muggsy Bogues, like the guy said in the video, Muggsy Bogues was a very unselfish basketball player. He was fast and he was strong. He was built like a little fire hydrant, right? So he was able to get where he wanted to on the court. Whereas though Julian is not, he's not tall, and he don't have that NBA body. Whereas though Muggsy Bogues, if you watch him, like I said, he's built like a little fire hydrant. He was a tank, right? And so because of his speed and his strength, it was not hard, but just damn near nearly impossible to keep him from getting to where he wanted to get on the court. Now, with this kid, Julian, I think, his father built him up, and that he put him in a position where he left him no other options. Like he put all his eggs in one basket. And when that didn't, that's not going to fall through for him, he didn't develop any other skills. He didn't have to he didn't have a trade. They didn't send him to college, and now he's out here, then they're promoting his sister sex videotape, saying that she could be as big as Kim Kardashian, right? And and I'm not surprised at this. Like I said, it's just an example of how people, when they get desperate, they'll do, some people get desperate, they'll just do and say anything in order for fame, right? So listen to this audio right here. This is from a whole different as a matter of fact, this audio is from the Adam 22 show, and check this out.
Yeah. Crazy. It sound crazy. Take it the wrong way. When she was 18, I tried to get her to make OnlyFans because of the spike.
Julian Newman just can't stop embarrassing himself. After the situation that happened from the last video I talked about, he's basically trying to capitalize off of his sister's leaks, using them as a rollout to revive his online career. I was in the middle of working on another video that should be out like later this week, but I had to just conclude the situation. Just think of this as a part 2. Now, the other day, his sister Jaden's explicit tape got leaked on the internet, leading everyone to clown him for it. All around in his comments, in his Instagram lives, and his TikTok lives, just not letting him live this down. He said the most odd statement in response to people flooding his DMs, saying that his sister may end up being bigger than Kim Kardashian because of the leaks. And I just gotta play this clip just to remind you how insane this is.
To look at the brighter side of things, on a positive note, she's gonna be bigger than Kim K, man.
So after this clip went viral, many creators reacted to it, including Blackboy Max, and he would just let
and so you heard and like I said, like, people would prefer to invest or spend their time pursuing fame and wealth like this way rather than to work for it. They don't want to put in the hard work that it takes to become not even really wealthy, but like successful, right? Who would, I just can't see like who would think of exploiting not just their sister, but any woman like that, as far as telling her to, leak a sex tape on OnlyFans, and then he probably, like, he's expecting some of the profits or some of the proceeds that come from something like that. Like I said, it just shows like the level of desperation that some people have, and the lack of confidence in themselves, and the fact that people refuse to invest in themselves, right? Because if you invest in yourself and your own abilities, then you don't get desperate like this, and you don't feel the need to do things like this. I don't care if you're a male or female. Like, if you have confidence and self-worth, you're not gonna do anything like this, because you know that there are other ways where you can accomplish your goals and get what you want without, leaking tapes of yourself, sex tapes of yourself on these different platforms and stuff like that. And so the criticism that this guy, Julian Newman is taking is well deserved, and it's earned. It's like this guy don't have any shame in his game, to really, to suggest that he could pimp his sister out like that is just crazy, man. It's just crazy. And so, like I said, this video, just in my opinion, just serves as an example of how desperate people can get and how desperate people are when it comes to seeking fame and fortune, right? And if they just so happen to get there, or think that they're in a position where they're getting fame and getting fortune, then they'll find themselves in an even bigger, bigger trouble, because they're going to be exploited. Because now, when you have this type of people know that you'll go to the extent of doing anything, then that sets you up for even more ways to be exploited and used and taken advantage of, man. And so this guy, Julian, man, is just, and I don't know how old he is. I think he's probably like about 24 years old. He's still young, but he off to a terrible start, man, with this kind of, with this kind of nonsense, man. And so that's basically my take on it. I really didn't have too much to say about this guy, man. I just wanted to point out the desperation and the extent that people will go to in order to, for fame and fortune, when anything you earn through your own abilities, you can always hold on to. But when you set yourself up for stuff like this, ill-gotten gains, you'll never be able to hold on to this, to anything or any amount of wealth or fame that you come into. And these people don't realize that, and they set themselves up for even more heartache and more failure. So that's my take. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'm gonna check you all out in the next video. Peace.